Welcome to Ping 24 Updates. Subscribe my channel and press the bell icon for more updates. In late 2022, headlines stunned the world, sending shockwaves through newsrooms and diplomatic circles alike. Sulu heirs win billions in arbitration against Malaysia. The story quickly became a global sensation, dominating news cycles and sparking heated debates. The descendants of the last Sultan of Sulu had convinced a European court that Malaysia owed them nearly $15 billion for unpaid cession money tied to Sabah, a resource-rich Malaysian state. This staggering sum was rooted in a colonial-era agreement, long thought to be a relic of the past. Suddenly, a dormant colonial-era dispute exploded onto the global stage, reigniting tensions that had simmered for decades. The Sulu heirs weren't just seeking money, they were challenging Malaysia's sovereignty over Sabah, questioning the very borders and legitimacy of a modern nation-state. Armed with the arbitration award, they targeted Malaysian state assets abroad, including Petronas holdings in Europe. Their legal campaign sent ripples through international business and government circles, raising fears of asset seizures and diplomatic fallout. This legal offensive forced Malaysia into a multi-front battle to defend its assets and territorial integrity, mobilizing lawyers, diplomats and security agencies in a race against time. The case reignited the Philippines' claim to Sabah, giving Manila new diplomatic leverage and stirring nationalist sentiments at home. The world was forced to confront whether colonial-era agreements can be undone by modern law, and if historical injustices can truly be settled in today's courts. The Sulu heirs, once dismissed as mere historical footnotes, had become formidable players, ensuring Sabah's status would remain a flashpoint in Southeast Asia's complex political landscape. The dispute now carried real financial and political stakes, not just historical curiosity. Investors, politicians, and ordinary citizens watched anxiously as the saga unfolded. For Malaysia and the Philippines, the past had come roaring back, demanding resolution and threatening to reshape regional alliances. The question of Sabah's ownership was no longer buried. It was front-page news, with the world watching closely to see what would happen next. Sabah, the land below the wind, is more than just a scenic paradise. Its oil, gas, and palm oil make it a cornerstone of Malaysia's economy and a strategic asset in the South China Sea. For Malaysia, Sabah is an inseparable state. For the Philippines, it's a lost territory, never truly relinquished. The dispute has sparked violence before, most notably in 2013, when an armed incursion led to deadly clashes. Now, the legal battle has raised the stakes, putting billions of dollars and regional stability on the line. At its core, the conflict is about national identity and historical justice. For many Filipinos, reclaiming Sabah is about righting a colonial wrong. For Malaysians, giving up Sabah is unthinkable. The clash of narratives fueled by history and economics keeps the dispute alive. Sabah remains caught in a storm of law, politics, and emotion. To truly grasp the complexities of the Sabah dispute, we must journey back through the centuries, delving into a rich tapestry of history. The Sulu Sultanate, a powerful maritime kingdom, once ruled the Sulu Sea and parts of Borneo. They gained control of Sabah from Brunei as a reward for their military assistance, a strategic move that would shape the region's future. In the late 1800s, the winds of change blew in with European colonial ambitions, introducing new players to the Southeast Asian stage. Baron von Overbeck, acting on behalf of a British syndicate, skillfully negotiated deals with both Brunei and Sulu, securing control over North Borneo. The pivotal 1878 agreement between the Sultan of Sulu and Overbeck's syndicate granted rights over Sabah in exchange for annual payments, a deal that would echo through history. At the heart of the ongoing dispute lies the Malay word pajak, a term fraught with ambiguity, which could mean either lease or cession, leading to differing interpretations. The British North Borneo Company took over governance of the territory, continuing the tradition of making payments to the heirs of the Sulu Sultanate. Yet, the true nature of the 1878 deal, whether it was a lease or an outright sale, remained unresolved, a question that lingered in legal and historical debates. This ambiguity would continue to haunt the region, casting a long shadow over Sabah's history, even after the colonial era had ended. The seeds of today's conflict were sown in these murky colonial transactions, leaving a legacy of uncertainty and dispute that persists to this day. Everything hinges on the 1878 agreement's meaning. The Philippines argues it was a lease. Pajak means rent, so sovereignty was never surrendered. Ongoing annual payments, they say, prove it wasn't a sale. Malaysia counters that pajak meant cession, and the agreement gave the British company full governing powers. They point to a 1903 document confirming the cession and argue the payments were compensation, not rent. Malaysia insists the Sultan gave up all rights to Sabah, making it an indivisible part of the federation. The two sides are divided by a single word, but the implications are enormous. The annual payments, stopped in 2013, became the trigger for the current legal battle. For the Philippines, the case remains open. For Malaysia, it's closed. The legal and diplomatic chasm remains unbridged. The 1878 agreement's ambiguity continues to fuel the conflict. After 1878, North Borneo was run by the British North Borneo Company, then became a British Crown colony after W. Warren. Annual payments to the Sulu heirs continued, but the core dispute was never settled. In the 1960s, Britain sought to decolonize, proposing a new federation, Malaysia. The Philippines and Indonesia objected, with the Philippines claiming Sabah was only leased, not Britain's to give. The UN's cobbled commission found most Sabahans favored joining Malaysia. Despite protests, Malaysia was formed in 1963, and North Borneo became Sabah, a Malaysian state with special rights. For Malaysia, this was self-determination. For the Philippines, it was an illegal transfer. The dispute simmered, unresolved, as Sabah's people chose their own future. The colonial legacy left a diplomatic fault line that endures. Sabah's status remains a source of tension between neighbors. The Philippines never dropped its claim to Sabah, but for decades it was mostly diplomatic posturing, statements in international forums, occasional protests and reminders in official speeches. The issue simmered quietly, rarely escalating beyond words. That changed dramatically when the Sulu heirs launched a bold arbitration case in Spain, arguing that Malaysia breached the historic 1878 agreement by halting annual payments in 2013. This legal maneuver brought the long-standing dispute into a new, high-stakes arena. In 2022, a Spanish arbitrator awarded the heirs nearly $15 billion, a stunning legal victory that shocked observers and made headlines worldwide. The sheer size of the award underscored the seriousness of the claim and its potential impact. Malaysia quickly contested the ruling, refusing to recognize its legitimacy. Still, the award gave the Sulu heirs powerful new leverage, allowing them to target Malaysian assets in foreign jurisdictions and putting real pressure on Kuala Lumpur. The Philippine government, while not directly involved in the legal case, found itself with fresh diplomatic ammunition. Officials could now point to the international legal proceedings as evidence that the Sabah question remains unresolved. The legal fight soon became a global cat-and-mouse game, with Malaysia scrambling to defend its assets and sovereignty in courts across Europe, from Paris to London, as the Sulu heirs pursued enforcement of the award. The heirs' aggressive legal strategy kept the issue in the international spotlight, drawing media attention and imposing real financial and political costs on Malaysia, which now faced uncertainty over its overseas assets. For Manila, the ongoing legal drama bolstered its narrative that Sabah's status is far from settled, reinforcing the idea that the dispute is not just a relic of the past, but a live, pressing issue. The dispute is now fought as much in courtrooms as in diplomatic halls, with lawyers and diplomats both playing crucial roles in shaping the outcome. The Philippine legal offensive has reshaped the Sabah question for a new era, turning a historical grievance into a modern global legal battle that continues to evolve. Malaysia's response is anchored in self-determination. Leaders point to the 1963 UN-verified process, where Sabahans chose to join Malaysia. For Malaysia, this democratic choice overrides any colonial-era claims. The government rejects the arbitration as illegitimate, arguing the arbitrator had no authority over a sovereign state. Malaysia has fought back in European courts, getting the award set aside in some places. The legal battle is about more than money. It's about defending national sovereignty. Malaysia also argues it stopped payments after the 2013 Lahad Datu incursion, viewing it as a breach by the Sulu side. The government frames the cessation as a justified response to aggression, not a contract violation. For Malaysia, the will of Sabah's people is the only factor that matters. The modern principle of self-determination, not dynastic claims, is Malaysia's final word. While governments argue nearly 4 million Sabahans live their daily lives, Sabah's diverse population, over 30 ethnic groups, has forged a unique identity. Most Sabahans see themselves as Malaysians and want to remain part of Malaysia. The Sulu claim feels distant, and irrelevant to their lives. Many resent being treated as pawns in a geopolitical game, yet local grievances persist, calls for fairer revenue sharing, more autonomy, and solutions to illegal immigration. Sabahans are proud of their heritage but want a better deal within Malaysia. The 2013 Lahad Datu incursion reinforced the view that the Sulu claim is a security threat, not a real alternative. For Sabahans, the real debate is about their future, rights, and prosperity, not which flag flies overhead. Their voices are central to any lasting solution. Imagine Sabah forcibly transferred to the Philippines. Instability, resistance, and economic chaos would follow. Sabah's economy is deeply tied to Malaysia. A sudden shift would devastate livelihoods and industries. The legal, cultural, and administrative upheaval would be immense. Indigenous rights and Sabahan identity would be threatened. The real issue isn't colonial documents or dynastic claims, it's the will of the people. Sabahans chose Malaysia in 1963 and continue to do so today. Any resolution must start and end with their choice. International law enshrines self-determination as the only just path. The future of Sabah belongs to its people, not to the ambitions of distant capitals. Their voice must be the final word.